Our guest for this episode is Kranthi Guduru, Vice President AI at Goldman Sachs. Kranthi's journey in the industry began a decade ago as an intern. Over the years, he steadily climbed ranks from an analyst to an associate before making transition into AI domain. Throughout his career, he worked on a range of projects, specializing in data engineering and AI ML engineering, shaping the innovative solutions in the field. This conversation has insights that will help you get better at building products. We covered three key areas: the journey of building products. Here we discuss Kranthi's experience in creating innovative and impactful products. Second one is challenges and lessons learned. Here we discuss the hurdles he faced in the product development and takeaways from real world experience. Finally, mindset for innovation. Here we discussed how to think like a problem solver and build solutions that truly make a difference. Hope you'll find this useful. Let's tune in.
Hey, Kranthi, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Navin. Thanks for having me on this podcast. I'm really excited.
So, I know that for a long while been building a lot of interesting products in like different spaces, and I also know that recently you're also building in the AI space, right? So, we would love to know from your journey and understand what are the things to be kept in mind while building products. So that's the intent. And so to start with, I'd love to know generally, there are already so many products out there. So what is the need for uh, you building, again, things from scratch for the company instead of just directly, using the existing tools?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so for need for creating new tools or new platform or models arises from one of these small excerpts of news article that I want to share. So not in recent, but around 2, 3 years ago when ChatGPT came around, there was one MNC, where few employees tried to, use ChatGPT within their workspace, and it so happened that there was some data spill that contained some proprietary or, information that should not have left their corporate boundaries, and that entered into OpenAI space. So even if that data or information was trivial to go, it was not, good practice, and also it's a very big, scary thing for corporates that their information can easily spill into different companies. So that story became, very widespread across, all companies, and it
Got it.
became a lesson of learning that, everyone has to build their own platforms or safeguards that they cannot just rely on chatgpt.com or go to
Hmm.
gemini.google.com to do their everyday business. They
Got
should
it.
have their own private interfaces. So a lot of startups also try to take advantage of this, and they build platforms or interfaces for this. And there do exist few platforms like Glean and all of these. They are successful in providing these solutions out of the box. So at banks or in financial space, you will see most of these industries building their own tooling
Got
for
it.
their internal use, in combination with some solutions from outside the space.
Got it. Yeah, I think it makes sense because there's a lot of sensitive information outside and you don't know who'll be using for what. I think that makes complete sense. Now, coming to your journey, so I understand that it makes sense for the companies to build their own product. So in your case of the product whichever you built, like can you share like how did it start and what was your initial steps looked like?
Sure. So initially, before even looking at AI, I was mostly building products at at firm scale, in data engineering space. I was building multiple products there. Around 2022, I had an opportunity to speak to people who are leading the AI research and AI platforms at GS. And one of the problem was, how do we leverage these advancements in AI? How do we enable people to build using AI? So we went ahead and then did some sort of like research in terms of how people are using it, how people are solving it, or how we can figure out what problems we can solve if we have to solve in future using AI, and how well we can enable existing people in the firm to use it. We did sort of some, study and then got some feedback from people how well they want to use it, what kind of use cases they can, we can enable them with using AI. And we had like a sort of some idea of how to go ahead with this. And we thought we should be building a platform so that, people can use it at scale. If we can solve one problem, for one team, and we should be able to replicate the formula and then enable other teams also to use the same, formula or same platform. We don't need to rebuild. So reduce the redundancy, right? We initially started with very bare bone structure and we started iterating on it. What helped us was we were very lean and then we started iterating very rapidly. So our choice of tooling, our way of going researching existing platforms or things which are available outside of our company which are very similar, try to understand what they offer, see if we can use it, and even study out what solutions are available in open source. Most of the products were around no code or try to use very less coding or configuration and enable people away people build things very quickly. What we've understood from that was we cannot make people dumb. So the moment you make someone dumb, they won't be interacting with your interface the way they should be interacting. They will always think there is some magic, or they will not be able to think in a creative way that they can extend or think of it like their own extension and make use of it.
Got it.
So we
So
should let
basically, you didn't want to outsource people's creativity to the tool. I see, a lot of articles where some of the uh, people in the senior roles in the tech, they say that, the co-pilots, these things are good, but the creativity, it should not be affected because so is it something similar like that? Like you wanted to make sure.
something similar. Yes. So
Got
the
it.
moment you make, no matter if it is AI or not, if you make everything magical and make them, make the user dumb, feel dumb, or there's no involvement from them, your tool usage or usefulness will go down. The reason being they are not in the zone. So it's similar to when you ask someone to listen to a podcast or listen to some lecture versus them actually experiencing that problem. Let's say you are going to some company and doing a demo and you are
Right.
presenting them your demo, and
Right.
instead of demo you ask them to actually fill in the form and do the exercise. They'll
Correct.
remember more from the exercise because they're
Without
involved in doing it.
true.
Similarly,
True.
when you're building a platform, when someone is, just typing in something, they won't be understanding much what's happening.
Got it.
And if there is some sort of, you have to go fill this form, pull this data in, or, you need to give feedback to what the answer is coming back as, let's say if some answer comes back to you, you need to respond back to that. So based on that, you will have, some usefulness built into the product. So we had this understanding, very early on, and we started, taking that into consideration. We didn't, go ahead with no code solutions, definitely. But at the same time, we didn't also want to overwhelm the users with a lot of powerful, options on it. Like we don't expect our users to be power users, right? So we had to find a middle ground and build solutions based on this, understanding. And everything else was like, how you build a usual platform. You go ahead and, iterate on some things, go get feedback from existing users, and see, what new features we can add there. And also talk to industry experts to, leverage, how well to use their products. And then give that offering directly to the users instead of going through some other middleman, right?
Got it.
So that
Got it.
helped a lot in, getting that option high.
Got it. So the first stage was like you went and spoke to small teams, understood the pain points, and given that across the organization, the work structure is similar, instead of trying to talk to everyone, gather a lot of information, talk to the small team, which is kind of a representation, solve for them, and
Um,
go. block by block. Is that
It
right?
that was our, I think I would say that was step two. The step
Step
one
two.
was we actually built our own use case first to understand, how well we can, build something
Oh,
using existing tools. And it was like our, playground, like where we can build something, destroy it completely, rebuild it again until we feel that, it's working really, really well. And, there's no way we can, that will ever fail. So obviously there's no 100%, good, correct, accurate answers everywhere. So
got
we
it.
built it to a very good extent, it works really well, but that helped us understand the pain points by putting ourselves in the shoes of the users.
Got it.
And second thing, when we went to step two to talk to users, we had some common connectivity that, we tried to solve this problem. We understand your pain. Oh,
Understood.
can you explain what problem you're trying to solve? We can understand because we have experience building this. Let me
Yep.
show you the example. If you want, you
Uh,
can use this. Hey, we already sourced a lot of this data for example use case. It might be useful for you, or you can
got
we
it.
can repurpose this structure to help you enable something else.
Got
So
it.
these kind of formulas are already existing in place like for other building other products. We just replicated the same formula in doing this.
Okay. Okay. So essentially, you solved it for yourself first, you and like the immediate people. Then you're like, hey, we have these pain points and this is solving. Now you go to other people. Hey, we have some common pain points, and I understand you will have like few more. Tell me those. And given that you have the prototype ready, they're like more into the conversation because they're like they can see it instead of theoretical. And you kept on widening the use cases to cover the entire organization.
Yeah, and I would just add to that point is that we really followed rapid iteration. So
Oh, okay.
we used to build and break things, multiple times in a day sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah. So what we had in the morning used to be completely different, by the time it was evening. And it
Crazy.
was just, a couple of people working on it, not too many. So it was very lean, but we used to iterate so rapidly that, things used to break constantly, but at the same time, things used to evolve very fast as well. So if you
Okay.
miss 2 days or 3 days in office, you will not know. There'll be a lot of different stuff going on. You will not be able to track. So it was
Got it.
very intense few couple of months until things stabilized. But that really helped us to, innovate and, drive things too fast,
Hmm.
to the point that we built the whole platform within a couple of months.
Got it. Got it. So in this couple of months, the iteration cycle is very fast. Like talk to people, deploy that immediately, or like you have the intuition plus the feedback is there and go fast. Don't wait for too long and like in the thinking mode forever.
Yeah. So since we were not, in a very critical system yet, we had the luxury of breaking things and like, making it work until the day, we felt like, it can be scaled, it can work really good.
Right.
And one thing important in AI space is that, your answers are, really accurate. It has sources. It has, way to say that, there's no hallucinations, or if you have hallucinations, how much of percentage of your answers are hallucinations, how much of it has bias, etc. Right? So all these metrics, right? Apart from that, there are more things like, how well you can integrate your own existing data with the AI models. So it it is not just AI. So there's a lot of other engineering teams involved in this, like search, databases, scaling, API gateways, cloud. So all of these teams had to come together to build a solid platform.
It seems like a lot of coordination and collaboration going on. Before going there, I also wanted to ask one thing. Uh, Talk to users is one of the common, and I also believe that there's a lot of value to it. But do you have, based on your experience, any recommendation on like how to go about it? Because at a broader level, there is a consensus that is useful. But when it comes to implementation of it, like, something like how long generally you have the conversation, like how do you drive it to understand the point? Because sometimes they also might not know it very explicitly. So, any suggestions based on your experience with respect to the user conversations?
Yeah, I mean, I can share my view on this. Look, my
Yeah, yeah.
style is that, I would talk to users and try to flip the demo experience. Instead, I want to experience their problem. So I ask them, can you share a
Oh,
sample that, I can try out and, feel that problem that you
wonderful,
have, so
wonderful.
that, I can solve it for you by the, by my intuition of your, problem, so that I
Got
can
it.
understand it well. Most often it works because I am in that zone. Sometimes it wouldn't work is when I don't have expertise in their domain. Let's say
Mm-hmm.
for some reason I am not really an expert in a space, then that person has to really really tell me how they can solve the problem. And often the problem is not in the platform or software. It's mostly in the domain itself. That probably it's not good organization of the data or their thinking of solving it. So there could be some optimizations there. Very rarely I've seen where the problem was in the platform itself.
Got it.
And most of them, and every day, day to day or business as usual, problems are mostly bugs, like that were intentional or unintentionally there in the code. And you
Got it.
just, as soon as you hear the problem from the user, you'll immediately understand it like that. Okay, this is something I can easily solve. This is something which was on a radar which we forgot about, or we didn't track well.
Got
These
it.
are the most day-to-day problems, but generally, when things are not, not day to day, like, they're rare, is, due to domain expertise. And you
Got
have to definitely be in the zone to experience it and then solve it.
got
And
it.
when you're
Got it.
starting something new,
Hmm.
we actually have a way of like, documenting things and like, understanding it more and more and more.
Got it.
So obviously we have to write a lot to
Hmm.
understand the problem and then also communicate to each other, right? So sometimes, one person would go and take the call to talk to the,
Hmm.
client or, team, and then the person has to go and explain it to the rest of the team as well, right?
Yeah, what's
So
up?
we have to document it.
Got it. Got it. Documentation, how important or effective it is, because generally people are like, I should write what this like. There is sometimes, not all the times, and not everyone. But how useful do you think documentation has been in your experience?
I mean, it's definitely, very useful. I will tell you, times when it is very useful and times when it is, not
Not.
practical.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone would, agree with documentation helping them to onboard people, maintain
Correct.
software, extend software,
Correct.
understand and, make changes, not just software, any existing, system,
Processes or anything. Yeah.
processes, workflows, all of this. You don't want tribal knowledge, to stay in people's brain. You
Yeah.
want it to be shared across,
Correct.
people. So
Correct.
this goes with any firm. Uh, Times when documentation wouldn't help is when documentation becomes a burden when you're rapidly iterating. So let's say,
Uh,
as an example, if you're building something, in the morning and by evening it changes, how would you document it?
in the afternoon, skip lunch. Yeah, it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
one way to, go around this is like, you talk to people and then you make a plan, like what we are building as a vision. So you don't
Right.
need to document every granular detail. It's not
Right.
important to, do tell, I have done this, I've done this, I've done this. You need to document the vision, like, we are going to build this end product.
Got it.
And
Got
I want to see this end product like this. On day one, you write something. On day two, day three, day four, you make some progress. You will figure out that, okay, this item which I've written about my future product is not very practical. I might have to tweak it.
got it.
Or sometimes, you will have to share the learnings. Like, in order to fix problem A, I use this solution, from here, and this might help someone else later on in, in this journey, or, myself later, when I have to reference back, I would know that, I have solved this. So these kind of things help, but you won't see them, documented very often when you're doing rapid iteration. Because just because of burden, like, you cannot iterate rapidly, building something at the same time documenting a lot. You will
Mm-hmm.
selectively document what you can.
Got it. So document the vision, like high level where you want to go. So it gives you the directional clarity. And when you're working, you know that you're moving in the right direction or not. And after that, especially when rapid iteration or prototype is happening, don't get lost in the document. It doesn't make sense. Got it.
Yeah,
I
but in
think,
recent times, I would say that, we cannot be lazy with documentation anymore because of, all these co-pilots. So most of my code bases, I just let the co-pilot on my code base and it will go, iteratively every file, it will just document and even build a whole agentic way of documenting the whole software.
got it.
I just had to review it.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So all in all, documentation is helpful, but be clear where to use it and how to use it well. Don't go very blind. And right now, the good thing is there are tools which are already supporting some of the existing processes. Great.
Right.
I think these two were really helpful while talking to the users. Another thing you mentioned is that flipped demo. For example, say I created a tool which helps plan their meals effectively, and I have a very raw prototype. Go to them, run them through the use case, understand how they're using, where they're stuck at, and know the pain points through the discovery of their experience of demo. Right?
Right.
Great. I think these two things are like really helpful. Now coming to the other part, right? You were mentioning, I mean, a lot of teams were like kind of involved in getting this live. So that is something I'm curious to know based on your experience. Like, see, the product building is one aspect, right? Like that is more of your individual contributor effort with, of course, few team members. But now when it comes to like having other parts to make it live, different teams can have their different priorities. So they may or may not understand. If they understand the timelines, again, you need to see. So may not be this in general. Do you have any recommendations while talking to other teams, to get things done? Because without acting as a team, we can't like make the final one. But like, how do we get everybody on the single page?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I can share some, from my experience, how we have, dealt with this. Uh, my understanding that is that, the main thing is your value proposition. What are you, bringing to the table for the other team for them to buy and,
Oh,
collaborate with you?
got it,
So
got
it's
it,
not
got it.
just win-win that, you are having something and they're having something. It is outright, what are you offering? Why are you important for the other team to collaborate with you? And, overall for the company or, the vision. So as you have vision for your own product or your team, there is a vision for the company, there is a vision for your own, engineering team, finance team, whatever it is.
Correct,
Or,
correct,
if you are in a production, your manufacturing team, whatever it is. So
correct,
everyone has their own vision, at a macro level and a micro level. So
correct.
it really depends on how well the leadership is navigating, or communicating, and connecting teams, to share their visions at the same time
Mm.
work for one single vision from the company, right? So the how the
Wow.
macro and micros really, really, mean a lot. And the moment someone, can figure out how well they can, play with these, setting the visions and, how well they can, talk to each other and make sure one is offering something for the other. Collaboration will come, automatically.
Got it.
One thing that happens usually is redundancy. So if when there is a lack of communication or collaboration, you will become a silo and you start building your own.
Got it.
So let's say if I solved a problem to use this particular database on cloud, which is really difficult to get onboarded with. No other team in the company should do the same mistake or, same time, spend the same time to do it, right? So there
Got
should
it.
be some common, knowledge or common way to figure it out. And then once it is resolved, everyone else should be able to do the same. So I often see some companies still do this right now, where there's a lot of redundancy.
Mm-hmm.
At least in all big MNCs, I've seen, observed, talking to other colleagues and friends,
Yeah.
that they still have redundancy. Even, where I work, I have seen a lot of redundancies.
Got it.
But yeah, this is all part of, optimizing collaboration is not an easy thing.
Not an easy thing. But I love the fact where you mentioned when you're going to the other person, generally we are occupied with, our thoughts, oh, I need to get this done and all. But I think it's important to like think from their angle, hey, what is the value I can bring for them? Intersection with the like direction or need of the company, then I think all of the three parties will arrive at a common spot. Everyone can take an action. Yeah, I think that is something quite useful. The next thing I wanted to know is in this whole building process, did you take inspiration or did you look out outside to understand how different products are or other products out there are built or observe from anything outside to, accelerate your product development process? Anything on that line?
Yeah, sure. So building products, few things I learned was to not really focus on, uh, you know, things that you're not your strengths, or your product strengths, not exactly your strengths. You might be
Got it.
able to build the complete house. Like, if you're building a house, you would probably would do the floor, ceilings, concrete, pillars,
Right.
everything, right?
Right.
But when it comes to doing it as a business at a scale,
Right.
you might not want to do everything,
Got
because
it.
one thing is time is of very essence. Two is also
Correct.
quality. Like,
Correct.
if you
Correct.
are doing floor, and there are like 10 players in the market in that space, you don't want to have a suboptimal floor that some other contractor would just come and just do it in a day, and also
Correct.
of better quality, right?
Correct.
So similarly, at any MNCs, you would want to build a product by its strength, the product strength. Let's say you are building Zomato. You don't want to build Zomato where the payments are on day one itself, the payments are swift, and
Correct.
or you have a lot of scalability in the app. What you want to solve is getting food delivered to that person on time, and within that delivery fee, etc., right? So that's your main goal. So
Correct.
you should focus on that, and sell that factor. Later on, when the scale comes, you obviously have to solve this problem, but you should not build it. You don't need to build it. I'm not saying should not, but you don't need to build it. You can buy those. Let's say
Correct.
someone else solved the payment process. You
Yeah.
can buy that, gateway, or, like, pay that person to, pay that organization to solve your payment issue. You just need to integrate it. You don't need to
Got it.
build it from ground up. One example I would like to share is OpenAI, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as you all know, OpenAI is the leading provider of AI like ChatGPT, etc. If you go to OpenAI, the first step is to click on the login button,
Correct.
and it's like two blue ugly buttons to log in and sign up on the right side. If you open on a desktop, that's the only screen OpenAI has built. When you click the login, it takes you to a new page, and it's built by a company called Okta.
Right.
So it uses Auth0, and there you have all the integrations, like connect with Google, connect with Microsoft, Apple, phone, email, etc., etc. When you forget your password, you click forget password, or you have to do email verification. It comes to email, or your password needs to be encrypted and stored somewhere. And if you're in Europe, you need to have it in certain way, certain data center, GDPR, software, all of these complaints, etc. Right? You don't want that headache to deal with, because you're not an authentication company, and you are not especially in a place where you need to show that I have built a strong authentication system. What you need to show is your LLMs, like your AI models are really good, and it's very easy to use. So all you need to do is click this login button, click connect with Google, done. You are inside my app now. You just use the app,
Correct.
and you don't need to show the. So OpenAI spends close to like 1 cent per user, and last I know is they have like 180 million users, so close to 18 million, I guess. So per month they spend that much, and it's a no deal for them, no brainer for them, because they have revenues obviously. But at the same time, they are focusing on all their strengths on building LLMs. So this is one example we can take from this.
Got it. Got it. Like the strength or the vision is to build that strong LLM. So let's focus on that. What are the other things which are needed? Hire that expert. I think it's almost like you build for a certain extent, and I think it's just like company hiring. Like this is hiring the tools or like the
Right.
services or the technologies.
Right. There are few things you might have to build yourself, where your cost, or your capital is not supporting you. It might slow
Yeah.
you down, but at least it will give you your ownership and all. Obviously there are costs associated to it. So it's a balance. Like, you need to identify when to go out and when to not go out.
Correct. Correct. So there are times it makes sense to build on your own, and there are times which make sense to kind of, hire from outside or outsource that. So I think the key is knowing when to do what. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. If you want to like flip the example and say I am building a small apnabazaar.com, let's say, and I am integrating authentication to it. And I cannot afford, let's say my scale is also same, like 1 million users will use me,
Yeah.
and I don't have that much capital to keep on paying one every month, 1 million. If there is another cheaper service, I might use. There is Superbase you can use, but let's say Superbase doesn't exist, then I might have to go on a limb and then say I have to build it myself. It will take probably 2 months to build. I'll build it.
Got it. Got it. Great. So next one I wanted to know is your view on the timelines when you're executing such projects, right? Like, uh, how do you go about it? Do you go like full intense, moderate, or do you take, how it is going to? Because I know that across the year, our intensities will not be the same, right? So in
Right.
this case, did you kind of like push yourself with respect to time limits a lot? If yes, why did it make sense? Why that approach?
Yeah, I think maybe this is in individual preference or maybe personal to me. From my experience, what happened prior to building this was I had a long period of not building things. So I had a long time gap where I was not doing much. I mean, especially with what I know, I thought I could build more, but the amount of work I was doing or the outcome or the impact it created was not big. And I felt like, okay, I should be doing something else. I started, doing some fun stuff on the side or, focus on hobbies, etc. more. While, it was important for me to relax and rewind. At the same time, I felt, I could do more. So there was always this thought in the back of my mind that, I just need to go do something. I just need to sit there, go into the zone. I'm not able to go into the zone because I'm not
Hmm.
liking something, or whatever is the outcome from this is not making me happy. And when the opportunity came, I'm liking what I'm doing. I have to go definitely into the zone, and that kept me like going on for few couple of months until the end of that month. By the end of it, I felt like I'm going to zone. I'm not able to come out of my zone, and it completely threw me off. My balance just got disturbed. So then I put some boundaries around it, like I cannot. It's not like Padma Viham where you go in and then you don't know how to get
You
out.
can't know how to
Yeah,
come out.
yeah, you need to devise some strategies to make it balanced. And if you have to do it again, no, don't make this mistake of getting into zone and forgetting where you are.
Right. So I think you called something like productivity peaks or something, right? Like,
Yeah,
is
it's
this?
like productivity peaks where you manage going into productivity zone and in a sustainable way by making sure you have two things, right? Like one is communication. Lack of communication will disturb your zone. Like I will tell an example, like when you are working and then suddenly someone barges into your room, or
Yeah.
they ask you to go pick some grocery item, or go pick up your kid, or do something, you get extremely irritated. Like, hey, I'm doing very important work. Can't you see? You want to just yell out, right? Or you
True.
want to say like, hey, I'm doing this for you, just for the well-being of our family. Why can't
Just
you
for the
just
family. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you want to say that all is bullshit, but the thing here is that you didn't communicate well enough in time that you are going into a deep zone. You're going to do some work. Don't disturb me for 2 hours. I'm definitely, if it is 1 o'clock now, I'm definitely going to be available at 3 p.m. No matter what. I'm going to log out. That I have set my own boundaries. So don't disturb me in between, right? If you just communicate this simple thing, you will not be irritated. Even if they come to you, then you will know that it is very important item that they have come.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
And
Correct.
let's say it's not an important thing, then you have the full valid reason to yell at them that, hey,
Correct.
can't you see I have told you like 2 hours ago that, at
Yeah.
3 p.m. I'll be
Yeah.
available. Can't you just wait another couple of minutes? You're disturbing my flow.
Yeah.
So these things, at least help you out, in resolving personal situations. At the same time, you'll also, look at your professional equations also in a similar way. Like, let's say, there is a reportee, like, at some stage you'll have people reporting to you or, looking for your guidance. Most often people I have seen, they get irritated when someone junior reaches out to them. They say, hey, not now, tomorrow we'll do it, or, day after tomorrow, or, after a
Correct.
month.
Correct.
They keep
Correct.
on
Correct.
postponing. They will not yell at them, obviously. People who are
Correct.
diplomatic. Few people who are, might also, shout at them. "Ki, can't you figure this out? It's very simple."
Correct.
So these things again come from the same thing, like lack of communication. Like if you
Correct.
can't tell, people that, you cannot open your calendar and show them that, like share your calendar with other people or tell them like, set a calendar invite. If
Yeah.
someone reaches out to you, just tell them, hey, go to my calendar. If you find some time, just block it.
Correct.
So these things are, it is both in corporate and in your personal life.
Personal.
You can apply the same principles. It
Got it.
it relies on your communication only.
Got it. Got it. I think this is extremely useful and interesting because most of the times I also face the same thing. I'll be doing some important work, but I need to tell that, hey, I'm getting into something important. If there is something which is extremely urgent, yeah, go ahead. Otherwise, let it wait for a while. So Yeah, I think we are connected to other people. So having that fact in mind is important, and I think that's helpful. And I'm sure there is a lot to talk on the communication aspect, which I would love to cover in the next episode. On like, you know, what is the role of communication in this whole process? What are some things which helped you? That is something which I think we'll uncover and unpack in the episode too. So thanks for joining for this episode. It was extremely useful. There are a lot of key takeaways. I'm sure audience, will have their own key takeaways from it. Thanks, Kranthi. Thanks for joining this and looking forward for the next episode.
Thanks, Naveen, for having me on 0 to 1. I'm really excited to, look forward to the other episodes and other interesting people you bring on this podcast.
Thank you.